I wasn't expecting to feel what I did because there's some scenes in this movie. Again, we won't spoil any of it because I do recommend watching it. But there's some scenes in this movie where some things played out and you kind of feel bad for the characters involved.
You do.
And then, like, I like Kristen Stewart, and I felt she was very Kristen Stewart in this movie.
She was very, very Kristen Stewart.
And I think some people, I don't know, they get annoyed by her, like her personality or the character she does sometimes, but I like her. And I like when she delivers that kind of Kristen Stewart character. And I really felt for her in this movie. So the parts where it kind of gets bad for her character, I felt more sad than I was expecting.
There's some parts where you just cringe because you're just kind of imagining. I would say they do a good job of not making you feel as if you're the character, but they make you feel the emotions that the characters are feeling.
But I think looking back on it today when I was thinking about it, I like that it made me feel that way. And I liked kind of how it ended up playing out and kind of the avenues they decided to explore. And I liked it a lot more looking back on it. Initially, I was like I wanted to laugh more and I wanted to enjoy it more in that way. But I think the movie does kind of make a statement about things, and it does kind of show acceptance a little bit, and also like how hard that can be with your family, especially around the holidays. So again, it wasn't what I was expecting, but I think looking back on it, it made me enjoy it a little bit more. How do you think?
Yeah, I haven't processed it as much as you have, apparently.
I thought a lot about this movie.
But I will say my rating has gone up a little bit than what I initially
Well, let's get into our rating, and then we'll kind of discuss it after that. What would you rate this movie?
I would give it 3.75 paintings out of 5.
Okay, so it's gone up. I think right after we first watched it, we both said 3.5.
We did.
Why did you give it a 3.5 at that time?
Because I didn't laugh as much as I wanted to.
Yeah. I just think they shouldn't have sold this as a comedy.
Yeah. It was more of it kind of fits into the theme of all my other favorite ones of like a little bit of family drama. That's what it felt a bit more like, and it was presented as a comedy.
It's a dramedy with heavy on the drama.
Yes.
I have gone up since, and I give it a 4.
Okay.
Because the acting in this was actually really good.
Oh, the acting's amazing. Because again, the cast is great.
It's just on a higher level than other quote-unquote Christmas movies, to where when I was watching it, I didn't feel like it wasn't cheesy in any way.
No.
And it is very dramatic. And the acting was just so good and on a different level than a movie that I was expecting that I had to rate it a little bit higher because it's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's well done. Great cast, good storyline.
Like everything about like what went into this movie is great. And it made me feel, which I liked. And again,
you do love a movie that makes you feel. That
makes you feel. And even if it makes you feel awkward, even if it makes you feel sad or mad or upset in any way, or you have an opinion on it, I think it's a powerful thing that a movie can do. And if you watch this, you're going to feel some type of way, no matter what you feel about the movie as overall, but it will make you feel. So I had to bump it up to a 4. And also the fact that it was on Hulu. And Hulu is kind of, I would say, arguably like a kind of sleeper pick when it comes to like streaming movies, because they don't have the amount that Netflix does. But I feel like every few months they have a hit like this that's kind of unexpected. And I think looking back on all the movies I really enjoyed this year, I think I can think of at least 3 Hulu movies from this year that I would put on my list. So I'm kind of excited for Hulu now. And in a world that we have Netflix, HBO Max, and Disney Plus now, I think Hulu is kind of, they're being able to not only make their own original movies, but also like acquire other big movies.
I was going to say, I feel like that's where I've watched a lot of like big movies. They had Parasite. That's where I watched Parasite. That's where we watched Booksmart. So I feel like sometimes they're the streaming platform that actually has it.
Yeah, they don't have the quantity that other streaming services or like Netflix has, but the movies they do have on there are pretty solid.
And they also, Hulu is nice because they'll do live TV like the next day. That's the allure of Hulu. That's why I originally got my Hulu account.
So this has also turned into a commercial for Hulu, we are learning.
No, I'm just saying, talking about the difference between Hulu and Netflix. Netflix is all, I feel like, either original or content that's already been on TV. Like, it's not like current seasons of things.
If I were to rank the streaming services right now, I'd still put Netflix at number one because they have movies and TV originals. I think I would put Hulu at number two. After this movie, last week I watched Run. I'm watching the Animaniacs reboot right now, so that's up there as well. And then I would probably put Disney Plus for the amount of newer stuff they're starting to put out, and also all the old Disney
nostalgic.
Which we also watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids over the weekend.
We did watch that on Thanksgiving morning.
Randomly.
Don't know why you turned that on.
Anyway, that's a review of Happiest Season. Anything else you want to say about the movie?
I don't think so, because if I say too much, I'll give stuff away.
Well, there you go. We recommend it. Check it out. We'll get into some movie news now as we wrap up the episode. Probably the biggest headline is now that they are going to start filming Black Panther 2 in July, and it's expected to come out still on May 6, 2022. I think that'll get pushed back a lot more because they haven't even started yet. Who knows if they'll actually get to start filming next year. But the big thing is that they are not going to recast Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther. Like, they haven't really said what they're going to do there. They brought in some new actors to play some villains, and they're just saying they're going to focus more on another character. So it's still kind of early for them to put out anything like if they were to replace him. And even when that first kind of happened, like, I was like, they just can't. Like, I don't think it would work. I think people would be more upset if they tried to bring in somebody new to play him. But it's a weird spot to be in because
he's the title character.
Like, he is Black Panther. Like, that's him. That's his role. I can't see anybody else doing that. And to recast him, I think, would kind of be a dishonor to him, a dishonor to the character. And I think it would just, I know that it's such a big movie for them and it's such a big franchise that they only have one so far, but there's so much potential for them to take that into different places that recasting him is not the way to go. So I like that the fact that they're going to kind of focus on another character. Glad to see they're not recasting him. All right, and that is movie news. Thanks for hanging out with me on this episode, Kelsey, my fiance.
You're welcome. How do you feel about the fact that you're basically engaged to Buddy the Elf? Like, I've made you get way more into Christmas than you ever were.
Yeah, Christmas was never really a big deal for me growing up because normally every year we would go to Mexico and we would either celebrate way early in advance because pretty much right when school let out, we would be like, all right, time to go to Mexico. And we would all usually get one gift. We never did stocking stuffers, so we were never really around in the United States when Christmas was happening. So it's probably why I didn't watch a lot of Christmas movies as a kid. So later in life, it became a thing of like, okay, let's buy each other gifts and do this normal thing once we all were adults and had our own money. And now that I have you, I'm into putting up stockings around the house early, putting up not one, but 2 Christmas trees. And even before we started this podcast, I wanted to make the table seem a little bit Christmas themed.
It is very festive.
We have the white Christmas tree lit up.
Which you just took off of our coffee table.
With a string of lights. So I would say you have made me like Christmas more. And you've made me realize that it can be fun to celebrate with other people.
My work here is done.
So there we go. And if you had the Buddy the Elf costume, I'd be all for it. Can we order one on Amazon?
Can we just end that here?
Okay. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. If you don't mind, you're listening on Apple Podcasts, hit that 5-star rating and write a quick review, or just subscribe wherever you're listening. And I will talk to you again next Monday here. And until then, later.